Nathan Algren, a former captain of USA Army, a killer broken of his participation in the horrific genocide of Native Americans. He received an offer from Japanese emperor to train an army in a method of Western warfare against the samurai who refused to abandon their tradition in the face of modernization. Already on site, he encounters Colonel Bagley, the same commander who once gave the order to fire on unarmed people. But despite his disgust, he takes the job. Money and alcohol help him to drown out the voice of his conscience. The very first march into battle ends a disaster. The rescues are poorly trained, frightened, unprepared. They are easily defeated by the samurai army, and Algren is taken captive, where he begins to study the culture of his enemies. Gradually growing to respected and changing sides, he embarks on a path of the redemption, becoming the last worthy representative of the samurai caste. But what is The Last Samurai really? A reflection on imperialism and violence, or just another form of cultural appropriation? Although The Last Samurai is based on real events and at times portrays the past with notable accuracy, such as in the depiction of samurai costumes, architectural, ritual, and mannerism, the film significantly reworks the historical context. The character of Kutsumoto was inspired by Tsuyago Takamori, one of the leaders of Satsuma Rebellion in 1877, the last major attempt to preserve the power of samurai in Japan. In reality, however, the samurai's resistance was not purely ideological or spiritual. It was tied to loss of power, social privilege, and influence in rapidly changing society. Many supported modernization until it began to threaten their own position. In the film, this tension disappears. The samurai are portrayed as symbol of purity, tradition, and inner harmony, and their opponents as a faceless embodiment of progress devoid of soul. And this is not accidental. The conflict is simplified into a convenient symbol, turning a complex history into a backdrop for the attainment of an American hero. The Last Samurai was released in 2003, at a time when the United States was engaged in the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. Amid growing public disillusionment, the story of an American soldier finding redemption in traditional Japanese culture resonates with a collective sense of anxiety and a sort of moral grounding. Through the character of Nathan Algren, the film invites the viewer to believe that war can still be honorable. Within this narrative, killing in battle is stripped of moral condemnation. It becomes part of cultural order in which death in combat is not a tragedy, but an expression of dignity. Algren is not blamed for the warrior's death. Instead, he is welcomed into the home of the fallen, lives alongside his family, is taught and ultimately trusted. The film presents war not as a sequence of moral decay, but as a space where respect between enemies outweighs personal grief. It uses a foreign culture as a tool to resolve a Western inner crisis. Japan in this narrative is not a subject, but a symbol, not a story on its own right, but a means to redeem. In this sense, The Last Samurai is not so much a reflection on imperialism, as it's a projection of West's desire to restore its own moral image. This doesn't mean the filmmakers intentionally sought to appropriate another culture or use it for selfish purposes. The Last Samurai genuinely engages with a theme of mutual understanding. It suggests that learning about and respecting another culture can overcome alienation, and in doing so, reduce fear, hostility, and violence. The Last Samurai is not just a film about the past. It's a story about how West tells the story of others in order to understand itself. Because as long as other culture remains just a backdrop for the accidental protagonist, the path toward real dialogue remains unfinished, and the question redemption or appropriation remains unsolved.